Okay, let's start with the prayer. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay. Um, we had some IT issues last week. Hopefully, none today. Um, let's start with um, a quick review of Karma Yoga before we move on to the verses. So we discussed what Karma Yoga is. It is actions based on certain set of attitudes. Um, we discussed two terms, Raga and Dvesha. We said we need you do your duty. So, for instance, in Arjuna's case, he's a Kshatriya. His duty is to protect Dharma. So that is his Dharma, and he has to do it without reference to Raga and Dvesha. Raga is what? Something that you're attracted to. Dvesha is something that you want to run away from or don't like. So that's Raga and Dvesha. So what is your motivation? Motivation is spiritual growth. So in with reference to Arjuna, his duty is dharma. So whatever he does in between, between now and trying to achieve dharma for his subjects, is like the war, for instance. In this case, he has to do it. It's his duty. Uh, in saying this, I was reminded of another story which I'd like to uh, bring forward here, and then I'll explain some other things. So, if you remember Lord Hanuman, the story of Ramayana, which I explained, Lord Hanuman, uh, the instruction given to him by Sugriva was, we need the location of Sita. That was a simple instruction. But Hanuman was focused on what the end goal of Lord Rama was. Rama's end goal was he wants to be with his wife. So Hanuman went set off on this journey. They reached a stage where they've come to the sea and they don't know how to move forward. Angada, who's Bali's uh, Wali's son, he uh, starts saying, if we go back, Sugriva will kill us, so we cannot go back. And he starts turning everyone against Sugriva. So here you can see the diplomatic skills of Hanuman, where he convinces everyone and brings them back into the fold. Jamwant reminds him that uh, when he was a child, he was cursed, and that's why he had forgotten his strengths. Now that he's realized it, he leaps across uh, the ocean and he reaches Lanka. Of course, a couple of hurdles there, but once he gets there, it takes him a couple of days to find Sita. During this period, he meets Vibhishana. He sees Ravana in his uh, uh, palace and on the what's it? Pushpavan. Yeah, Viman. Pushpak Viman. So he sees all of this and he goes to Sita, and then she refuses to go with him. She says, no, no, Ram has to come. It is a matter of his honor. And Hanuman could have just come back saying, okay, I've done my duty. I found where Sita is. I can come back. No, but what he did was he stayed back. He started destroying the uh, garden. And the reason he did that was he wanted to know who's what this, he wants to assess the strength of the enemy. This is basically an intelligence gathering thing. So he kills some of the army members that come to catch him, and then he also kills one of Ravana's sons, and finally Indrajit shoots an arrow which he cannot disrespect, so he surrenders. Comes to the kingdom, and then he assesses the situation again over there. He burns the entire Lanka so he can weaken them, and then so Lord Ram can go and get Sita back. So he was working towards a goal that was beyond the statement made by Sugriva. So he was following a certain longer vision, which encompassed more than just finding Sita. So there was an ultimate goal there. Even in your case, for instance, right now you're studying. So your next goal is, okay, I have to sit for this assessment, or I have to do this assessment, or I have to do this exam. And what's next? For uh, such kids who are only looking at, okay, what's next, what's next, what's next, you may have likes and dislikes. You may like a certain subject, you may like maths, you may like arts, you may like some science or some other subject, and then you will dislike some others. But if you have a goal, so say for instance, someone says, oh, I want to serve the people, an ultimate goal. How do you serve? Either maybe you want to be a politician, maybe you want to be an engineer, maybe build bridges, make it easier for people. You want to be a lawyer so you can help out the people who are not getting justice, or you can be a nurse or doctor, whatever. So there's so many options as to how. So once you have established that goal, you want to help people, and you want to become a lawyer or a politician. Just as an example, let's take a politician, and you're sincere about it. So then you have to do these subjects. You won't think about in terms of raga and dvesha. You won't think about, oh, I like this, I don't like this. My goal is to become a politician, so I have to do these subjects. Let me do as well as I can, and then you move on from there. So that is kind of what we are talking when we are talking about karma yoga. When it comes to karma yoga, our ultimate goal is moksha, but it doesn't have to be the same for everyone. We discussed about this in the past, where we talked about kama, artha, dharma, and then moksha being the last one. So kama is the immediate pleasures that we want, immediate luxuries that we want. Artha becomes your lifelong ambition. You want to make money, you want to have these luxuries, that, this, everything. So that becomes your artha. And then dharma is where you start doing rituals and doing, say, you're doing good karma. You're doing the good things in life, because next life you want to have these good karmas carried over. So these things are dharma, artha, kama. They are in the cycle of this life: birth, death, and that sort of thing. Whereas if you have moksha, that's the ultimate goal. There is no end. That is the end of your desires. Here, your desires never end. So that's how we progress through things. Here, when Lord Krishna advises Arjuna, he's talking to him as an intellectual, as a person who's reached a certain level of intellect uh, and understanding of the Atman. And he says, you need to look beyond your kama, artha, and dharma, and look at moksha as your ultimate goal. So this advice that Lord Krishna is giving Arjuna. It's based on that, and a part of those was, and part of some of the attitudes we looked at is do your duty without reference to raga and dvesha, and the other one was in verse 47. You can control your actions but not the results, so you leave the results to the karma phaladata or Ishvara. Let's do verses 40. We'll try and finish this topic if we can today. Verse 49 and 50. We'll just quickly do the verses. If you can, repeat after me. Durena
दूरेण
hi avaram
कि अवरं
karma
कर्म
buddhi yogat
बुद्धियोगात्
dhananjaya
धनञ्जय
buddhau
बुद्धौ
sharanam
शरणं
anvicha
अन्विच्य
kripana
कृपण
phala hetavah
हेतवः
buddhi yukta
बुद्धियुक्त
jahati
जहाति
iha ube
यः उभे
sukrita
सुकृत
dushkrita
दुष्कृत
tasmat
तस्मात्
yogaya
योगाय
yujyasya
युज्यस्य
yogaha
योगः
karmasu
कर्मसु
kaushalam
कौशलं
karmajam
कर्मजं
buddhi
बुद्धि
yukta
युक्त
hi phalam
की फलं
tyaktva
त्यक्त्वा
manishinah
मनीषिणः
janma
जन्म
bandha
बन्ध
vinirmukta
विनिर्मुक्त
pan, padam
पदं
gachanyam. Sorry,
गजन्य
my apologies. With that means gachanti
गच्छन्ति
anamayam.
अनामयम्
Yeah. Okay. So this is verses 49, 50, and 51. So just quickly with the verses. The first verse is talking about mere action, which is inferior to karma yoga. So we talked about Lord Hanuman being given an instruction as to go and find where Sita is. That is just an action. So he could have gone, found out where Sita was, and come back. That's an action. But karma yoga is you're looking at a bigger goal and you're doing the right job. You're doing it properly. You're abandoning the aspects of good karma and bad karma. So how do you do that? When you leave raga and dvesha and you're looking at moksha. You're not looking at karma, dharma, and artha. Okay. So he's saying, uh, Lord Krishna is saying, telling Arjuna, Arjuna, you need to move beyond doing mere actions. You need to seek refuge in the divine knowledge, which is karma yoga. Okay. And it is one that is of low intelligence or low, somebody who has low knowledge or does not have an inclination of higher goals. They are the ones that seek the fruits of their actions. Okay. It's kind of continuation of 47 saying the people who seek the fruits of their actions, they are of lower intelligence or lower uh, knowledge base. And it is through karma yoga one can abandon good and bad karma. So sukruti and dushkruti, they're good karma and bad karma. So uh, here we are looking at, for instance, your need to serve the people. How do you do it? By becoming a politician. And all the steps in between, they are a part of your duty. You just do it without liking it or disliking it. You do it because your ultimate goal is much bigger. And in this one, Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna, you do your karma yoga and it is a skillful action. Uh, the next verse, okay. Uh, you practice yoga by forsaking the results. So what does that mean? It takes you back to verse 47, kind of a repeat of it. Karmajam buddhi yukta, which means you're taking uh, if you are reliant or if you're attached to the results of your work, then uh, you can't abandon good karma and bad karma. Okay. Uh, where am I? Sorry. Padam Gacham. Okay. So this one, if you are attached to your results, then you are bound by all these uh, three three um, aspects of Purushartha, which is Kama, Artha, and your Dharma. So you are looking at a cycle of life. Your whatever you're doing, your the actions uh, are governed by the laws of karma, and you're born again and again and again. You want to get out of this cycle, then you need to think beyond this. Your goals have to be moksha. Uh, As long as um, uh, every action you do on a day-to-day basis is uh, a, a part of your karma yoga, then you will attain moksha. If not, you will be in this bondage, the cycle of karma, which is birth and death, birth and death, birth and death. Okay, so there is those are the three verses here. I will go on to the next two and we'll finish the topic of karma yoga in chapter 2. Again, chapter 3 and 4, they go into chapter 3 is actually called karma yoga, and they will talk a lot more about it, about the attitude that you need to have when it comes to karma yoga. So if you can repeat after me, verse 52, yada
यदा
te moha
ते मोह
kalilam
कलिलं
buddhi.
बुद्धि
Okay, this is should I break it? No, this is a big word. So uh, vyati, I'll break it up. It'll be easier for you. Vyati
यति
tarishyati
दरिष्यति
tada
तदा
gantasi
गन्धसि
nirvedam
निर्वेदं
shrota shrota. We'll break it up. Shrota
श्रोत
vyasya
यास्य
shrutasya
श्रुतस्य
cha.
च
So yeah. So this is verse 52. Here, Lord Krishna is talking about ignorance is overcome by knowledge. So, what is ignorance? We are all born with ignorance. We don't have any knowledge. All right. As a jiva, we are all born ignorant. But when we are overcome by knowledge, knowledge is talking about the Vedas and the Atman. Once you attain this knowledge, then you will be indifferent to the worldly and heavenly pleasures. So there's a word here that Lord Krishna used, moha, and it's interpreted by Adi Shankaracharya as uh, moha is the failure to think properly and distinguish between the Atma and Anatma. Atma is the self that we have discussed in the past. Not self is the jiva. We think that this jiva, this cycle of birth and life, is who we are, but that is not really us. So if we that is moha, it is talking about the delusion. Um, Later on, I might when we get to chapter 6 and all, I might talk a little more about these things. There's six uh, kind of sins: kama, sorry, yeah, kama, krodha, moha, lobha, mada, matsarya. So it's talking about uh, desires in different forms, uh, which give you different results. So karma is your lust, and then it leads to anger, then it's delusion, then it's jealousy, and so on. So these six I'll discuss a little more when we get to maybe chapter 6 when we're talking about meditation and other things. Anyway, so what Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna is uh, people live in delusion because of ignorance. Ignorance, why? Because they're born ignorant, they don't have that knowledge. Uh, and once you gain the knowledge of the self, which is the Atman, that's when you'll become indifferent to all the pleasures. What sort of pleasures? We're talking about uh, scoring a goal in a soccer game, or we're talking about uh, getting a good grade in your um, class. You become indifferent to this. You become a very knowledgeable person because your ultimate goal is moksha. And even in other cases, like we discussed, if your goal is to serve the people, to become a politician, then your small wins with your studies now will not matter to you much. Why? Because your ultimate goal is still there. You want to serve the people, you want to become a politician, be a lawyer, whatever. So these small things do not affect you. This is called vairagya. You become dispassionate. There's no literal translation of vairagya, but in general term, people use the word dispassionate. So when you become dispassionate, you are not overcome by joy or sadness or anything like that when you reach a hurdle or when you achieve something, when you're successful with something. So loss or gain does not affect you. Success and failure does not affect you. So that's what um, is expressed, repeated in this verse. Let's do the last verse for today. If you can repeat after me, Shruti,
Shruti
Vipratipanna
Vipatipanna
Te Yada
Te Yada
Stasyati
Tasyati
Nischala,
Nischala
where am I? Sorry. Nischala, yeah. Samadhav,
Samadhav
Achala,
Achala
Buddhi,
Buddhili
Tada,
Tada
Yogam,
Yogam
Avapsyasi.
Vavapsyasi.
Okay. So in this, this is probably some knowledge that you need to know or you should know. When they talk about Shruti, Shruti is something that's knowledge that's transferred through word of mouth. It's not written down. So the reference here is the Vedas. Okay. And uh, uh, what Lord Krishna is telling is, we've discussed this in the past. So it's kind of summarizing the last two verses are kind of summarizing the first part of the discussion when we entered Karma Yoga, where he tells you are looking at the aspects of Veda, where there's yajnas, where there's hymns, there's mantras, all these, and these are good to help you with your everyday life, to help you with your karma, artha, and dharma. So you're doing your rituals, you're doing it because you want good karma, you want to have a better birth next year. So even when we do Satyanarayana Swami Puja, for instance, the story does tell that the king did a puja, so in the next life he had a better life, he had a better position. The Whether it's a brahmana or the woodcutter or whoever it is that has done their puja, they've had a better life. So what Lord Krishna is saying, this is good for people who are ignorant and who only are aware of the kama, artha, and dharma aspects, or their goals are just limited to that. But for a person like you in your status, who's done a lot of yoga, who's been um, blessed by the gods or deities themselves, you need to think beyond this. You need to think about moksha. So if that is the case, then you should ignore the ritualistic aspect of the Vedas and think about the spiritual aspect of the Vedas, which is the Upanishads, and start